February 8, 2010, began like any other day for the McStay family. Joseph went about his work, while Summer took care of the children. The family was planning their usual routine when suddenly, everything changed. That afternoon, the McStays disappeared without a trace. No warning signs, no letters, no messages left behind, nothing. The scene in their home suggested a hasty exit, but there was no indication of forceful entry or struggle. The family simply vanished. What was even more baffling was the fact that their cars were left in the driveway, and their personal belongings were untouched. It was as if they had walked out of their house with every intention of returning, but never did. The house was locked from the inside, and there was no sign of foul play at first glance. To all outward appearances, everything seemed completely ordinary. The only thing that seemed out of place was the absence of the family, leaving no trace behind. Neighbors, friends, and family were immediately concerned, but at the time, many dismissed it as the McStays perhaps choosing to leave their lives behind voluntarily. The town of Fallbrook wasn't the kind of place where anything remotely sinister would occur. The idea that this was a case of a family running away to escape personal problems was not out of the question. But could it really be that simple? Could a family just decide to leave without a word and vanish off the face of the earth? For the next few weeks, friends and relatives struggled to come to terms with what had happened. The McStays had always been the kind of people who kept in contact with those they cared about. They were well-liked, active in their community, and constantly connected with friends and family. The sudden disappearance seemed out of character, but as the days turned to weeks, investigators began to search for answers. The initial investigation and the growing puzzling questions in the weeks that followed. Investigators combed through the McStay family's home for clues. The first theory they considered was that the family had somehow left on their own accord, possibly to start a new life, as there were no signs of violence at the scene. However, as the investigation continued, they discovered that the McStays had no history of financial or personal turmoil that would have led them to suddenly disappear without telling anyone. One of the most confusing aspects of the investigation was the fact that there was no sign of forced entry. The house, although empty, did not appear to have been robbed. There were no ransom notes, no messages, and no apparent motive for any kind of violent crime. The family simply disappeared without a trace. As investigators dug deeper, they found that the McStays' phone records and email communication showed no signs of distress or abrupt changes in their daily routines leading up to their disappearance. Summer's social media accounts, filled with pictures of her children and family life, painted a picture of a loving mother who had no reason to flee. Joseph's business dealings were modest, and there were no signs of any unusual debts or legal troubles. For all intents and purposes, the McStays appeared to be living a quiet, ordinary life, yet